Hello students, standard 7th. We started chapter number 6, physical and chemical changes. In last session, we saw that there are so many changes taking place around us. And all the changes are of different type. Like we saw that the plants are growing, animals are growing. Then we burn the paper, breaking up the glass, and so many. Then we also learn that all the changes that takes place, we can classify them broadly as two categories. And those categories are physical changes and chemical changes. In physical changes, we saw that when the change takes place, only the physical properties of the substance are getting changed. Physical properties means the color, shape, size, or the state like solid, liquid or gases. If the changes takes place only in those physical properties, then it is known as physical change. And we saw that in physical change, the substance is same. Means after the change also, the original substance does not change. It means that not any new substance is formed. Means chemical properties are still the same. Means if you cut the paper in pieces, it's still a piece of paper. When you turn ice into water, water into vapor and back, still it is the same object is there. It means that not new substance are making. Means they retain their original properties. Only the physical properties are getting changed. Now, today we are going to learn about the chemical changes. Chemical change, in which when one or more substance take part in the change, combine, and then they produce one or more new substance with the different properties, then that type of change is known as chemical change. So, a chemical change is that in which a new substance is formed. Either one or more than one new substance must be formed. Then we can say that it is a chemical change. Chemical change is also known as chemical reaction. It is also known as a chemical reaction. And here, those substances which take parts in the chemical change or the chemical reaction, they are known as reactants. And the new substance that formed, they are known as the products. And that chemical reaction is showed by writing an equation. And that equation is different from the equation that we learn in mathematics. In mathematics we learn the equation in which there is a equality sign between them. But here there is not equality sign, but it will show an arrow. An arrow will be shown between the reactants and the products. So to the left side of the arrow, the reactants are written, and to the right side of the arrow, we write down the products, means whatever the new substance are formed. So the side, left side will be the reactants by plus sign, whatever is used. Only one reactant and only one reactant is written, but if more than one reactants are there, then they are separated like with the plus sign between them. And then to the product side also, if it is only one product, you can write down that. Otherwise, if there are more than two products also, they are separated by writing plus sign between them. And arrow shows the direction of the reaction, means from that it makes it means that it shows that from which reactants which product is taking place, which product are making. So that is the way we look about the chemical changes. The most common and everybody know about the chemical reaction, chemical change is the rusting of iron. I hope you are familiar with rusting of iron. If you are not, then let me explain you. Sometimes when we see that some objects made up of iron, when we keep it open for a long time, especially in the moist weather, then you will see that there will be a brown layer on that iron articles. Means a brownish substance, powdery substance will be around it. So if you touch it, you will get that powder. So what is that? That powder is not the iron. But when the iron kept open in the moist weather, what does it do? It reacts with oxygen in the air. It reacts with oxygen in the air, and then the iron oxide is made. We will learn about this rusting in detail also later. But just now, that iron oxide is known as the rust, and this process is known as rusting of iron. Most of the iron articles are getting rusted. If you see some big gates of some buildings, or the benches, gate of the parks, iron benches kept in the gardens or in the lawns, etc. So most of the things which are made up of iron are getting rusted, because when they are kept open in the air, and generally when there is a moist weather, they react very quickly and react with oxygen to make iron oxide, and that make a layer on it. Maybe in the kitchen also, that iron plate on which we make roti, which we call tawa. So that tawa also often get rusted if it is left open like that. Similarly, maybe you have some tools like shovel or the spade, etc. for the digging and that thing in your garden. Then that also generally in the monsoon weather, they are getting rusted. Why? Because they are open, and then when the moist weather is there, they react with oxygen, and therefore a brown layer is deposited. So rust is not an iron, but it is different from iron. It is made with the reaction of iron with oxygen. Now, to understand about the chemical process and chemical reaction on the chemical change, let us take another example that you learned before also. That is the burning of magnesium ribbon. Almost from the standard 6, I think you know about burning of magnesium ribbon. When you take magnesium ribbon, and then first we have to rub it with the sandpaper, so that if any layer of oxide is there, it can be cleaned up and the metal can be shined. Now when you take the small piece of magnesium ribbon, hold it with a pair of tongs and insert one of the other end in the near the burning candle flame and hold it for a while. Then you know that magnesium ribbon burns with a brilliant white flame, very brilliant light, and it leaves behind a powdery ash. But be careful when you perform the activity, that don't stare at that burning magnesium, because it can damage your eyes also. So just look at once and you can remove your eyes from that. So that magnesium ribbon, when burned, it reacts with oxygen in the air and make that powdery ash. That powdery ash is the product made from magnesium and oxygen, and its name is magnesium oxide. And that reaction can be represented in the form of equation is like that: magnesium into bracket Mg. Mg is the symbol. All the elements are given symbol with 1 or 2 letters. For example, hydrogen is given capital H, oxygen is given O, nitrogen N, phosphorus P. Similarly, magnesium is given Mg. So the magnesium ribbon Mg plus oxygen, the formula of oxygen molecule is O2. So magnesium plus oxygen O2, when it burns, then it makes that powdery ash. That ash is the magnesium oxide, whose chemical formula is MgO. Now, about this formula, how to write down this formula, you will learn in standard 9 that how can you write down the formula, like formula of water is H2O, formula of magnesium oxide MgO, formula of carbon dioxide is CO2, etc. That you will learn that how can we write down the formulas of these chemicals. So now here magnesium and oxygen, they react, they take place in this chemical change. So they are known as the reactants. So here magnesium and oxygen are the reactants. So when it burns, what does it make? It make magnesium oxide, MgO. That magnesium oxide is the product. So this is the chemical equation. Actually, this equation, if you see, it is not balanced equation. And about it you will learn in the higher standards, that always chemical equation also should be balanced. but for you it is not easier to understand. So now we don't try to balance the equation, because look here, here the Mg is only one, Mg is also one, but here oxygen there are two atoms, but here only one O. Then where is the other oxygen gone? So if you see mathematically, this equation is not a balanced equation. But how to balance it, that is, you will learn that about it in the next standard 9, standard 8 and standard 9. Most probably in the standard 9 you will learn about it. So for now you have to write down the normal equation, that what are the reactants, write down them on the left side, then arrow, and on the right side of the arrow the product means a magnesium oxide should be written. So here, as I told you, Mg and O2 are reactants and MgO is the new, means it is the product. So now again we can make another chemical change also. Take that magnesium oxide, means that powder S left behind when the magnesium is burned, and dissolve it in the water. So now it will react with water. Generally water does not show any color change with the blue and red litmus paper, as it is a neutral substance. Now after dissolving this magnesium oxide in water, check with the blue and red litmus paper, insert red and blue litmus paper in that solution and notice the color change. You will notice that red litmus paper will turn into blue, while the blue litmus paper will not change. And we know that when blue is same but red is turned into blue, it means that the solution is a basic solution. So it means that a new substance is made, because water is not basic substance. Magnesium oxide is not basic substance, but when we dissolve that magnesium oxide into water, there is another chemical reaction takes place and magnesium hydroxide is made. A new product, magnesium hydroxide, is made. So here magnesium oxide, that is the powder S, when we burn the magnesium oxide, we dissolve in the water, the formula of water is H2O, and then it make magnesium hydroxide, means Mg into bracket OH twice. That is the formula of magnesium hydroxide, which is a base, because it turns a red litmus paper into blue litmus paper. So here there is here you can see that this magnesium oxide and water act like the reactants, because they take part in the chemical reaction, and at the end of the chemical reaction they produce magnesium hydroxide, MgOH2. So that is the product. So here we saw some examples of chemical changes, or we can say it is chemical reaction. In the next session we will learn about more chemical reactions, and then we will understand what are the characteristics, what can be there, what can happen in the different type of chemical reactions. So here we are going to finish the session, will be followed by the PDF file, and any confusion write down in the comment section. Thank you very much.